Alrighty folks, this is Lurch from Ireland Gaming and welcome back to From the Depths. We're here with the Indy submarine and you'll see I've made a couple of little changes. We now have a couple of wheels and it's kind of now an Indy car, right? Maybe not as fast, but it it looks a little bit wonky, but it works quite well actually. This is just like I said before in one of my previous episodes, because he likes to rub his bum along the ground, to enable it to maybe not quite do that so much. And it does work, mostly. But the way that these turrets are designed, they have a habit of ramming themselves into the side and stuff like that as well. So yeah, that's something I did. You'll notice there hasn't been too many videos over the last couple of days, and that is in part because I have been burning the candle at both ends for, probably 6 months now, and got a bit much. I needed a break, and I had a couple of days off, still answering comments and stuff like that, but I haven't been making any videos, and now I'm feeling a lot better. A little bit more reinvigorated and ready to take on the challenges of the world and maybe build some more crap. Okay, and in other news, to make things a little bit more interesting, I am just back from 4 hours at the hospital with my girlfriend, and that has delayed things maybe a little bit further. This episode was supposed to go out Saturday morning, and it has been pushed back, well, pretty much all day. But let's carry on with the episode. Don't worry, she's perfectly fine. Pretty severe kidney infection, but thankfully, hopefully that'll clear up in a couple of days. But best to make sure that these things are not serious. So, all well and good. On with the episode. Yesterday, Nick dropped a very interesting little changelog. It's been very quiet from the dev branch for a long time because he's been hard at work working on modding. And along with modding, there has been a whole pile of other changes too. Now, some of you guys have probably been looking at the forums, and I believe it's been posted on Reddit too. But I'm just here to give you a little rundown of some of the awesome changes that are coming. And this is kind of part what's got me really excited for playing this game again. There hasn't been much happening recently, and I've been working through the tutorials and stuff like that, and now with this, it's going to kind of overhaul how a lot of the tutorials are going to have to be worked on. So I'm going to have to put them completely on hold for a little while until this whole dev test works out and we know where we stand. But let's start looking through the list of changes that we have, and there are some absolute doozies here. First up, and it should be on your screen about now, an improvement. Wheels controllable by piggybacking onto water mode or air mode propulsion. What that means is we now have controllable wheels. We can build tanks, we can build cars, we can build trucks, we can build whatever the hell we want, and they can drive on land, which is awesome! And that really opens up a lot of the game. But yeah, I'm going to run through these quickly because there's so many of them. I'll try not to talk about them too much because I will be doing an overview video whenever the patch does go live after the whole dev test kinks and stuff have been worked out. I'm sure it'll be in dev test for a little while because such a major overhaul will kind of, add a lot of bugs to the equation as well. Next on the list is resource zone resource growth rate is now constant again rather than increasing when the zone is empty. Now, as many people know, you can kind of exploit the resource zones in the campaign by spamming as many resource gatherers as you can, and that increases the rate of your resource gathering exponentially, just so fast. This means that there is now a hard limit to how fast you can gather resources, and I honestly think that's a brilliant change, because a big problem that the campaign has been having is balance issues, and it's next to impossible to balance against something when people have an infinite amount of resources to work with. So this will go a long way in, reducing that and making, hopefully, the campaign in the near future a lot more sort of gamified, friendly, balanced. Next up, we have new control options added to the automated control block. No idea what they are. Looking forward to finding out. Now, this one short line is probably the most exciting change to have happened to this game since I started playing it. Possibly in a lot longer than that. Mod support added to the game. It's going to be huge, guys. There's going to be so much coming with this, and I can't wait to see where it brings the game. We'll have so many more options, and if we don't like something, we can just change it. So it's absolutely amazing, and I cannot overstate how exciting that is. Next up we have a change, another amazing one. Ammo router no longer required for the APS. Well, that means we don't need to put ammo routers on turrets anymore. It means smaller turrets are much more practical, and it's just one less little checkbox to have to fill in. I think it really helps the advanced cannons, and it does open their utility up quite a lot. The ammo router itself has been added to the decoration blocks as well, so it's not completely gone, which is awesome. I believe quite a few people have been using them to make toilets, believe it or not. Next up we have stairs blocks, which is cool. A lot of people have been asking for stairs blocks. A nice little cosmetic change. It will really help out people that make like walkable interiors and stuff like that, so that's really cool. Next up, improvement. Rambot avatar can now cling to his vehicle, which is the default movement mode, and blah 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 instructions. And that is because of the next change. That is Scuttlebot's old ability. Sadly, Scuttlebot is now no more. So we're going to have a little, going away ceremony for him. Scuttlebot's leaving the game, I'm afraid. He's not really been much use. Very few people use him, unfortunately. So it's going to be just Rambot from now on. But hopefully we'll have some ability to maybe, customize Rambot in the future with the new modding things. Next up we have replace block now works in multiplayer. Prefabs now work in multiplayer. Sub-object save and load now works in multiplayer. Weapon control is better in multiplayer. Client movement is controlled client-side in multiplayer, so it's lag-free. Those are all amazing, incredible changes, and a lot of the things I complained about with the multiplayer system. Now, there hasn't been much of the line of netcode improvements, but hopefully, with the client movement control client side, that will make a big difference to the playability, and it should be so much more smooth for playing on both ends. And all of the extra little bonuses and stuff like that, the replace block and the prefabs, that is so good for the whole multiplayer system. So yeah, that's really exciting. Hopefully that'll ease up, doing multiplayer let's plays and stuff like that. That would be really awesome. But yeah, that's really exciting. Next up, we have a new hand-holding tutorial system added to lead you through the tutorial resources available, which is great. That's a start to the new tutorial system, and this game is sorely lacking in starting out on the learning curve. So, that's a really great thing to see, and it will go a long way in helping get more people into the game. More people is always good, and helps the game succeed, helps, bring some more creativity to the community as well. And, there's no point having the same people with the same ideas all the time. I know, everyone has their sort of creative outlet, but having new people, new blood is always good. Next up, we have a new sound manager, which is great. Models the speed of sound as well. It's pretty cool. Support added for land units and all-terrain vehicles as forces and fleets, obviously going along with the land changes at the very top of the list. Another change, we have a bomb shoot barrel for the cram cannons. Really excited to see what this one turns out like. The Poodle is going to be getting an upgrade, I think. Significantly increase the FPS when on the map. That's always nice. Optimizations are good. Bug fix, land should no longer disappear from beneath the player vehicles. Always nice. The way seals are placed has changed a bit. Some may well now be broken. Improvements, prefabs and sub-objects now stored in individual files. That's very interesting. It's a backline improvement. Missile drag increase from 100% at altitude 0 to 50% at altitude 300 and then 0% at altitude 500. Ability to turn using fins decreased from 100% at 300 meters to 10% at 500 meters. That is a really interesting change. That means that your missiles are going to be able to go faster when they're at higher altitudes. So Javelin-style missiles and high-altitude ones will be much more effective in their fuel and will have longer range. So that really opens the dynamic up of the missiles. The change to the fin agility as well is kind of interesting, because that means that high-altitude fighters are going to be much harder to hit with missiles. So makes lasers more effective, and it means you have a little bit of an extra design challenge whenever you're trying to fight them. So that's really interesting. It's a nice dynamic. Now, the projectile follow camera is now an orbital view of the projectile and missile, and that's an awesome change. That means that, whenever you press the caps lock key to follow a projectile you've just fired, and it was always locked behind the camera, you can turn your camera left and right, but it was locked behind the projectile. Now it's an orbital view, so you can look from the front of the projectile back to where it's firing and, look at it in different angles. That's really cool. Lasers can now damage out to 10 kilometers now, not just 3. That's an amazing change for the lasers. Really adds to their utility and gives you the option to have really long range laser orbiters and stuff like that. It's very cool. and it's been, I think, very, very necessary for the lasers, because they're a little bit weak at the minute. Raw resource storage containers now store 2k resources per meter cubed, not 10k, and I think this is a great change as well, because the resource storage containers in the game are so resource dense, and you can literally fit 4 or 5 of the same ship inside a small cargo container, and rebuild your ship 5 times out of a box inside your ship, and that's a bit silly, to be honest. There is still the option there in the next one, the config sliders for resource storage and overall damage scaling. You're allowed to put it back up to the 10k if you want, so it's for most people. You can drop it down. Everyone can play the game whatever way they want, but I personally would like the resource storage containers to be more of a payoff and require not be able to store so much in your ship that you can rebuild yourself like 10 times. It makes, cargo ships more useful in the campaign. It means that combat vessels can't store massive amounts of resources, and it would make things a lot more interesting. Next up, you can pause the game at any time by pressing F11, and you can still move the camera and look about. Now, that's probably not that interesting to most people, but personally, as someone that has, films a lot of montages and stuff like that, that's really interesting for me, because I can now do Matrix-style stop-motion stuff, and that would be really, really cool. So that's something I'm going to be playing about with extensively, I believe. I'm really excited about that, and it should allow me to do some pretty epic shots. And finally, at the very bottom of the list here, vehicle drag is reduced from 100% at 300 meters altitude to 10% at 500 meters altitude, where air density reaches 0. There has also been some discussion about this on furthermore on the forums about raising the altitude cap so that you don't run out of atmosphere until closer to like 1,000 meters, which could be a really nice change. One thing I will stipulate about this is it's only a changelog and it's for a dev test, so all these changes could change again, and that's really important. But the vehicle drag reduced 0 to 3 at 300 meter altitude. That means that now spaceships no longer incur drag and won't slow down, so ion thrusters and stuff like that are going to be much more effective, and it opens up the space game completely, and that could be really interesting. It's going to need a lot of tweaking because that will make spaceships really, really powerful, but whenever that's all balanced out, it should be really, really cool. So yeah, I've talked for these for ages, and like I said, I'm probably going to cover most of this stuff again whenever it comes along in, it's all finalised and, finished up. But yeah, I am going to probably now spend a little bit of time doing, some other videos or other games, because, with all these changes coming, I can't really work on the tutorials, and while I could hit the campaign up, and I may do that, I've been playing a lot of From the Depths recently, and I need to break things up a little bit. So I've actually been playing Farming Simulator with Headcrab over the last couple of days, just for relaxation purposes. Don't judge me, it's a really enjoyable game, and it's very relaxing for some reason. Don't ask me why. But yeah, I've been looking at a couple of other games, and we'll probably be starting other series just to keep things moving along. The multiplayer series I've been doing are kind of hard to keep organised because, people have different playtimes, we can't always be around each other, and it can be difficult to get those recorded. But I'm going to be starting some single player Let's Plays to, help bulk out the content on the channel a little bit, and do them in a more traditional Let's Play format so that they're easier for me to record. They won't be as heavily edited as the From the Depths content, because it's obviously going to remain a sort of core of the channel, because it's what I built the channel around, and I do love this game, don't get me wrong, I'm not going anywhere. The From the Depths is by all means staying, and with all these awesome changes coming, it makes me even more keen to play the game. But I have rambled for long enough. Expect more content in the future. I'm going to be hard at work over the weekend working on other stuff, and yeah, it's really interesting to see all these awesome changes after such a sort of blackout time for the last couple of weeks. And hopefully this will bring a lot of people back to the game. I notice there's a lot of sort of dwindling player base in the Steam charts and stuff like that. But I do hope you enjoy the episode. Even me rambling on for ages here. Any likes or comments are really, really awesome. I do love hearing from you guys, and I read every single comment. As always, take it handy, and have a bloody good day.